A winner of a Food Network competition show is now accused of killing her adopted child. Authorities in South Carolina say 29-year-old Ariel Robinson and her husband, 34-year-old Jerry, were arrested in connection with the death of 3-year-old Victoria Rose Smith.
Welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. So if you haven't checked out A Wicked World on Patreon yet, and you want to have access to over 50 exclusive videos with new ones being added each and every month, then make sure you do that now using the link in the description box below. The story I have for you today is about a little girl who was placed into a foster home, a home that was supposed to be better than the one that she was taken from. Unfortunately, that was far from the truth. This is the story of Victoria Smith. Victoria, or Tori, Rose Smith was born on March 27, 2017, in South Carolina, to her mother, Cassie Fairs, and her father, Bradley David Smith. She was a happy and easygoing little girl who loved going to the playground, baby dolls, the color pink, eating cupcakes, and playing with her two big brothers. Victoria's mother, Cassie, was said to have tested positive for marijuana while she was pregnant with her daughter. And then, once the little girl was born, she also tested positive for the drug. This placed the newly single mother on Child Services' radar. And while the family was still being monitored, one day Cassie fell asleep while watching her kids. She said that she had been up all night with Victoria, who was still just a newborn, and during this time, her two sons ran next door to a neighbor's house, who then called the police. The mother was also struggling financially, and having difficulties finding housing for her family, which only made her situation look worse to Child Services. So eventually, social workers would convince Cassie to sign over custody of her 3 children, and they would then be placed into foster care. Their mother insists that there was never any type of abuse while Victoria and her brothers were in her custody. According to her, Child Services made her feel like the children were going to a good home with a loving family, and she figured they would have better, happier lives there. For a while, this did seem to be the case too, because during the last visit that Cassie had with her kids, they were happy, healthy, and thriving. Then, in March of 2020, Victoria and her brothers were placed into a new foster home with Ariel and Jerry Austin Robinson. The couple, who already had 2 kids of their own, intended on adopting the 3 children. The Robinson family was very excited about adding to their family too, even making the happy announcement in a Christmas social media post. Now, Victoria's new foster mom, Ariel, was actually a bit of a celebrity. She'd previously been the $25,000 winner of Season 20 of Food Network's Worst Cooks in America show.
And the winner of Worst Cooks in America is... Ari!
Oh my God!
When Victoria and her brothers first arrived at their new home, she had actually just gotten back from filming the show 2 weeks prior. According to Ariel's personal website, arifunny.com, she was a middle school teacher who was trying to make it as a stand-up comic, radio host, and TV personality. The children's new foster family lived in Selwood Circle, Simpsonville, South Carolina. And once they moved in, things seemed to be going well for a time. Ariel would even often post pictures of the children and her new, bigger blended family on social media. They seemed happy. The foster mother even described her relationship with little Victoria as being perfect. And her husband, Jerry, said that he felt like he was just a big teddy bear to the toddler. But that didn't last very long, because on the afternoon of January 14th, 2021, 911 was called to the home.
Rainbow County 911, what's the location of the emergency? You have an emergency. Our daughter is unresponsive. She's drunk a lot of water. We're trying to pump, CPR to get out.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Our 3-year-old daughter's choking on water right now.
Your 3-year-old daughter is what?
Choking on water right now. We need help immediately.
Okay, we get help on the way.
When first responders arrived on the scene, they found little Victoria lying on the floor of her bedroom, not breathing. And she was rushed to Greenville Memorial Hospital, but sadly would be pronounced dead later that day. When paramedics asked Ariel what had happened to the little girl, she had a similar story to her husband, saying that she had been drinking large amounts of water before she suddenly went limp. But due to the severity of her injuries, first responders suspected that there was CA going on in the home, and so authorities were called in. Victoria's body had masses of black and purple bruises all over it. They were all along her right side, down both her legs, and she had a large bruise on her back. The right side of her abdomen was said to be completely black and blue, and the inside of her thighs were as well. An autopsy would later determine that she had died as a result of internal bleeding from blunt force trauma, and her death was officially ruled as a homicide. 34-year-old Jerry Robinson and 29-year-old Ariel Robinson would be arrested 5 days after Victoria died, and they were both charged with homicide by CA. When first responders had first noticed the bruising on little Victoria's abdomen, her foster mother said that it must have been from her trying to perform CPR. The little girl's other injuries, she claimed, must have been from her biological 7-year-old brother, who had anger issues. Ariel said to authorities, "She bruises really bad. She has sensitive skin. Her brother kicks her and kicks her. He has anger issues. He's been in therapy for it." Typical, blaming another child. We see it all the time. Come to find out, the day before Victoria had died, on the morning of January 13th, the Robinson family had gone to church. And surveillance video taken there showed Ariel walking out with little Victoria, who was in just her underwear. According to the foster mother, they had been running 15 minutes late that day, and Victoria was eating in the car, but didn't finish her food. Then she had thrown up on her dress. 2 other parishioners said that they had seen Ariel in the bathroom washing Victoria's clothing. One of these people had asked if the little girl was sick, but the foster mother said no, she just eats too much and makes herself throw up. It's just a game. The other individual heard Ariel say to Victoria, "Oh, you're cold? You're cold? Girls who make themselves throw up deserve to be cold." Or maybe you really are America's worst cook and poor little Victoria just couldn't stomach your food. Ever think of that? Once church was over, the family returned home, but Ariel went out again a little while later to grab a few groceries. Meanwhile, Jerry gave Victoria a bath and noticed a bruise on her lower back, but didn't know where it had come from. He'd then put the children to bed for the night before his wife arrived back home. Then, according to Jerry, the next morning, the same morning that the little girl died, he had heard Ariel giving her a whooping with a belt. He was outside at the time, and it was so loud that he could still hear it. Jerry told authorities that the reason why his wife was so upset was because Victoria would not eat her pancakes quick enough. When Jerry went back inside the home, he found Ariel standing over the 3-year-old with a belt, saying, "You don't get to tell me when you're done." According to him, he told his wife that she had gone too far this time. After realizing how badly injured Victoria was, they gave her a bath in Epsom salt, hoping that the swelling would go down. A little while later, her stepfather ran out to CVS to purchase some liquid Tylenol. Now, Victoria's biological family had not been allowed to know the details of her and her brother's adoption. So when they found out that the little girl had died, by seeing pictures of her on the news, they said they barely recognized her. Apparently, since the Robinsons had taken her in, she had lost a significant amount of weight. Victoria's family would also say that the signs of her mistreatment were all over social media. In one photo that the girl's foster mother had posted, Victoria has bruises on her right wrist. In another, she looks like she's got a healing black eye. And in a third, you can see big red marks on her neck. Other sinister warnings were there too. During one of Ariel's stand-up shows, she joked on camera about punching one of her children in the throat.
So the dog lasted for a little while. They kept going on about the sister, so it's like, we really want a sister. So now we're going through this adoption process. So we're trying to adopt a baby girl, and the social worker, they have to come over and, see that you're not too crazy to adopt. And so the whole way she's coming over, I'm telling my husband, I said, you know what? we should have locked the other two up in cages because if she meet them two, ain't no way they gonna give us enough. She gets there, it's too late. They upstairs hollering, screaming. Where the moms at? Where the moms at? Okay, yeah, y'all don't like y'all kids either. So they upstairs hollering and screaming and going on. You know, you get to that mommy level and you like, you done had it. So I forget this woman is in my face. So I turn around, yell upstairs, shut up, I come in there and punch you in your throat. Turn back around, and she's looking at me the same way y'all looking at me. It's a game, you know. I punch them, they punch me. We got approved.
Yet in her podcast, she talked about how she couldn't bear to watch the news anymore because it made her so upset, particularly when it came to hearing about children dying and CA. Also rather ironic was the fact that the foster mother had posted multiple times online about her commitment to social justice. Even once writing, "In my house, my black children get treated the same as my white children, and my white children get treated the same as my black children. It's a shame that when they go out into the real world, that won't be the case." And come to find out, Victoria and her brother's adoption by the Robinsons was set to be formalized just 5 days after she died, the same day that the foster parents would end up being arrested.
She was sweet as could possibly be, so it makes no sense how somebody could hurt her in any kind of way.
Ashley and Alan West last saw Victoria Smith, known to them as Tori, about a year ago. Alan says his aunt was the baby's foster mother for nearly a year before she went to live with the Robinson family.
A fun little girl.
She was funny. She was sassy.
Definitely had some sass to her.
I still can't believe that it's true. I just feel like maybe we'll all wake up and it'll be a bad dream.
You could not be mad at that girl just by the way she looked and how sweet she was. So I don't understand how this man and woman would have done this to her.
In April of 2022, Jerry Robinson would plead guilty to his charges of aiding and abetting homicide by CA. But for the time being, he was sent home on house arrest and was scheduled to be sentenced after Ariel was convicted on her charges. She would go to trial just a month later in May of 2022. During this time, a medical examiner described the blows to Victoria's body as being innumerable and said they had all been inflicted within an hour. They were as severe as if she had been in a car accident. Ariel's husband Jerry would be the first to take the stand, and he would testify that his wife had hit Victoria with wooden paddles and various belts. One of the biggest things that set her off was when the little girl didn't finish her food quick enough. He also claimed that sometimes he would take a piece of her food to help her out so she wouldn't get in trouble. Then he told the court that on the morning of January 14th, Victoria's brothers had all gone off to school, so it was just him, Ariel, and the little girl. He said that he had gone outside to do some yard work, and while he was out there, he heard his wife screaming at Victoria. So he went inside to check on everything and determined that things were fine, so he went back outside. That's when he heard Victoria crying and his wife screaming even louder. Jerry said at this point he knew that the 3-year-old was getting hurt, but he would wait more than an hour to go check on things again. When he finally went back inside, that's when he found his wife in the kitchen standing over Victoria with a belt. The couple had given her a bath after that, and around 1 p.m., Jerry left to go to CVS to buy some Tylenol. But when he returned home, he saw Victoria swaying back and forth before she suddenly went limp. The foster father testified that he had brought the little girl to her bed, and there they had their last conversation.
What's the last thing you recall Tori saying to you?
She was laying on the bed before she got picked back up. And she told me she loved me. And I said, I love you too. I said, I promise this won't happen again.
Shortly after that, Victoria fell unresponsive, and Jerry called 911 while Ariel performed CPR. Now, someone from Child Services would also testify during the trial, and they said that their department had done monthly virtual checkups on the Robinson home. But none of these checkups had resulted in any concerns for the children. Then, when it was Ariel's turn to testify in her own defense, She took the stand, but would become overcome with emotion during parts of her testimony. She started off by saying that 3-year-old Victoria was the girl she always wanted after giving birth to 2 boys. She was a perfect child, her mini-me, and very easy to get along with. Then the foster mother claimed that she had never seen any bruises on Victoria's body until after she died. According to her, on the morning of the 14th, she had worked on her computer for about an hour while the little girl ate her breakfast. Afterwards, Victoria went to her room to play, but a little while later she came out and said that she had peed her pants. So Jerry changed her, and Ariel sat with her in a chair with a heating blanket because the little girl was so cold and acting like she was going to throw up. Then suddenly, she'd gone limp and 911 was called.
I hollered for Austin to come upstairs, and he came in the room when she was on her stool, and he looked at me and he was like, "Is she breathing?" And I said, I hear her trying to breathe. I hear something in her lungs though. It sounds like she's got like fluid in her lungs." And so they said, "Should I call 911?" I said, "Yeah, call 911 because I don't know what to do."
When Ariel was asked about the statements that her husband had made, she said that he was lying. While she didn't directly state that Jerry had caused the bruises to Victoria's body, she did say that he had been left home alone with the children after church while she went to the grocery store, and that he also had one of the scariest anger issues in which he would bottle it all up and then just erupt. Ariel went on to say that her husband had repeatedly lied to her throughout their marriage, and that their marriage was now shaky due to these lies and their limited finances. She claimed that she intended on leaving him and taking the children with her as soon as the adoption process had been finalized. Her trying to blame Jerry for killing Victoria, though, was quickly countered by the prosecution, and they shared a post that had been made by Ariel on Father's Day with the jury. It showed a photo of her husband and Victoria with a caption saying, "There's not a daddy-daughter duo in the world who love each other more than these two right here." In the post, she also says that Jerry was not the one who was responsible for disciplining the children. Then the defense would try to argue that Jerry had a history of lying, and they noted discrepancies between his testimony and what he had originally told law enforcement. Regardless, after a 4-day trial, Ariel Robinson was found guilty on her charges, and she was sentenced to life in prison. Her husband Jerry would then be sentenced to 20 years behind bars with credit for time already served. The Food Network would also pull the season of America's Worst Cooks in which Ariel had appeared from all streaming services following her conviction. At the beginning of 2025, the foster mother tried to appeal her sentence and get a new trial. However, that was denied by a judge, and she will have to serve the rest of her life sentence. And while she's been behind bars, Ariel has received disciplinary action several times, including for refusing to obey orders and sexual misconduct. Now, according to Victoria's biological mother, Cassie, she had done everything she could to get her children back. She'd taken multiple parenting classes and battered woman classes through child services. And while she didn't have a vehicle for a bit, she had tried asking for help several times. But she feels like she didn't get the help that she needed and was coerced into signing over the rights for her children. As I had said earlier, Victoria's family was never notified of her death and only found out about it through the news. Cassie had then called the agency to find out if the little girl was indeed her daughter like she suspected. But she was told by a social worker that they did not owe her an explanation, and then she was hung up on. The family even had to fight to get Victoria's body back from the state so that they could give her a funeral. Making Victoria's death even sadder, her relatives said that the 3-year-old girl loved to eat, and they find it very hard to deal with the fact that she was killed for not eating fast enough. Now Victoria's aunt, Michelle Earps, is working with lawmakers to get Victoria's bill passed, which would reform the South Carolina Department of Social Services. There was an online petition which gained over 48,000 signatures and asks for frequent and unscheduled visits for both foster and adoptive parents, even after adoptions are finalized. However, I was unable to find the current status of these efforts. Once her family was finally able to get her body back, They held 3-year-old Victoria Rose Smith's funeral privately. And a little over a year after her death, on January 15th, 2022, a candlelight vigil took place in her honor. It was held at Gateway Park in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Well, thank you for listening to Victoria's story today. From the sounds of it, this little girl and her brothers would have been much safer in their biological mother's care. Sure, she had some problems, but with a little help, she easily could have turned things around. Usually, we're advocating for social services to take children from their unsafe homes and place them into safer homes, and it seems like that's what they thought they had done. But sadly, it proved to be quite the opposite, and a fatal mistake. So, if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 3 times every week. Thank you for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.